What's up, ADA Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. I'm your host here, Fareed. As a part of today's video, we're taking a look at the macro markets, touching on Bitcoin, and then, of course, diving into everything going on here within Cardano. Now, as a part of today's update, we have quite a bit to unpack here, a little bit around just the adoption of Bitcoin. We've got some pretty big reports coming out from the Cardano Foundation. And then I want to highlight some recent unfortunate news about the Wyoming Stablecoin, and sort of the fact that they're not going to be building or using Cardano. But then looking at the bright side here, we have builders, for example, like Midnight. We've got Fluid tokens and a lot of really exciting news coming out from other builders within the ecosystem. So if it's your first time stopping by the channel, my goal is to help you find your way within the growing Cardano ecosystem. If you want more content like this, consider subscribing to the channel. If it's your first time here, make sure to smash that thumbs up if you do appreciate content like this. And last but not least, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Now, I am also a single stake pool operator, so if you'd like to extend your support, consider delegating with the official Dapp Central stake pool, which is stake pool ticker DAPP. Let's go ahead and jump right on in here. We'll kick things off here by just briefly reviewing updates on Bitcoin and exactly where we currently stand. So if you guys aren't aware, Michael Saylor, one of the biggest Bitcoin bulls here, now officially owns 2% of the entire Bitcoin supply. Again, this guy was buying all the way down from the last bull market, I think at around 30,000, all the way down to around 15,000, has continued to buy diligently using billions of dollars and just sort of leveraging, right, the fact that he's able to borrow against the valuation of MicroStrategy in order to continue doubling down on Bitcoin. And so as it currently stands, he is probably one of the biggest whales and will most likely become one of the richest men, around the globe or on the globe, given his early conviction, right? For lack of better terms, when it comes to Bitcoin. Moving right on over, we have the fact that Van Eck has now predicted that Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana will see new all-time highs in 2025. Now, don't get it twisted here. If those three assets see new all-time highs, you can definitely bet that Cardano will also see new all-time highs. Their price prediction for Bitcoin is $180,000, Ethereum $6,000, and Solana $500, right? So again, if these assets are able to triple or double from where they currently stand, again, you can bet that Cardano will most likely do the same, if not more, because the market cap for Cardano is a lot lower, meaning it's going to take a lot less liquidity in order to move the needle in terms of percentage gain. Moving over, we have the fact that we have the first ever prison sentence for somebody who's evaded paying their taxes on their crypto gains. So we have a gentleman who's been sentenced to 2 years in prison for evading taxes on over $4 million worth of gains, making this the first ever crypto tax evasion case. Now, in addition to that, we've got the fact that Senator Cynthia Lummis has now met with Trump's incoming Treasury Secretary, whose name is Scott Bessent, to discuss a strategic Bitcoin reserve. So Donald Trump really isn't shying away from this. It hasn't just been all talk. We're now starting to actually see him walk the walk. In addition, we've got the fact that billionaire Dan Morehead now claims that Bitcoin is worth more than gold. Now, if we've been here or if you've been here within the space, this needs no introduction, but I'm going to play a very brief clip here of him breaking down why he believes Bitcoin will be worth more than gold.
I think that is actually a really important thing. When you're the reserve currency of the world, you don't have somebody else's currency to save in. So the United States doesn't have another currency. It stores $600 billion in gold, which is a staggering amount. It's equivalent to 11 million years of American worker wages. So that's kind of crazy. Go to digital gold, Bitcoin. It's much better. And so I do think it's totally rational. The U.S. already owns 1% of the world's Bitcoins. Keep that, increase that. So I do think it is actually a really good policy. There's a couple countries that already do own Bitcoin. It'd be great for the U.S. to get out in the lead.
So there you go. The U.S. owning 1%, Michael Saylor owning 2%. Again, that should hopefully put that into perspective as to how much he really has when it comes to the Bitcoin holdings here. Now, very briefly, I want to quickly touch on the charts here. Looking at Cardano, we're currently sitting at $1.08 per ADA. And what you'll notice here is that we've had this sort of like huge red candle where we had a flush down to around 92 cents. We saw over $1 billion getting liquidated from the markets. However, we've seen a lot of that really scooped up very quickly by a lot of big sharks and whales who are within the ADA ecosystem. So this is exactly the type of candle you want to see here on the weekly, where again, we've had a flush all the way down to that 92-cent range, and then immediately all of that being bought right back up to around $1.08. Now, looking at Bitcoin alone here, we are starting to jump back into the overheated states here. Again, this is on a really, really slow moving time frame, which is the weekly time frame. So this again looks super bullish, and we're seeing a lot of very similar candles here, where anytime Bitcoin dips, there's immediate buy pressure coming in here. Again, I think this is just one of the many signs that we are in the raging bull market. So that'll do it there for macro updates surrounding Bitcoin. Next, I want to just briefly dive into Quantum Hosky, which Charles Hoskinson has teased here over the course of the last week or so. I know he did an interview with another content creator here within the Cardano ecosystem, and he broke down exactly what Quantum Hosky is, but he's also just talked about it on a recent X Space. So I want to play a very brief clip here. Again, it's roughly about 2 minutes, but he breaks down the partner chain framework, which of course is what Midnight is leveraging. I've got some updates about Midnight coming in here just a bit as well. But when it comes to Quantum Hosky, this is sort of a demo of the partner chain framework. And then it's also actually touching on the meme coin niche, right? Which I think Charles is realizing isn't going away, myself included. Meme coins have been doing extremely well here on Cardano. We've seen the likes of Hosky, again, reaching new all-time highs. We've seen SNEC reaching $500 million in terms of market cap valuation. And then we've even seen new meme coins coming into the sector like Chad. And then there's also Beta. So I'll probably have a separate video, sort of like a more degen video coming out, breaking down some of the meme coins that I'm looking into. But that said, I want to play this brief clip here of Charles breaking down what Quantum Hosky is and exactly how this actually benefits the Cardano ecosystem and can showcase what the partner chain framework can actually do.
So just early days meme coin. And what we're going to do is we're probably going to build the first meme coin metaverse ever done at scale. So I'm working on a project right now called Quantum Hosky. And this is like unfinished business for me. And so that partner chain framework that I'm using for Midnight, which is like a private smart contract system with selective disclosure that's going to be interoperable with all the different cryptocurrencies, that framework that's built on Parity Substrate, I'm going to take that and I'm probably going to build on top of it as a fork, a new partner chain that basically takes a game world that kind of looks like Minecraft, but it's hyperdimensional. So it's actually a 4-dimensional space instead of 3-dimensional, and it has multiple consensus algorithms. So instead of just one, like a proof of stake or proof of work, it also uses a proof of work that's based on quantum effects, so quantum random number generation, to create randomness inside the game world and spawn monsters and do all kinds of crazy shit. And then the other is actually a mining algorithm that uses meditation or focused attention. So you take an EEG headset, you put it on, and when you're in focused attention, you're actually mining with your brain waves, which is really fucking crazy, which also means that you have guaranteed proof of human inside the system. So everybody playing is actually human and not a bot. And then what we're going to do is do a drop to all the meme coins and basically bring in the entire meme coin space and get them in there. So it's a really gnarly idea that I've been working on it for a little while, and we're starting to put a team together for it. So we already have some homegrown guys, but the next generation is going to be a lot of fun because you create a meme coin that is simultaneously no utility and unlimited utility. It's like a quantum beacon, it's a timestamp server, it's a proof of human identity, but then it's also like meme coin land, right? So there's no intrinsic value from that. And my hope is to kind of bring all these major meme coins together and give them a distribution so that they actually come and play and have some fun there.
Charles, never lacking when it comes to new ideas and how to really just, again, showcase a lot of the tech that sometimes is really flowing over people's heads, right? I know Hydra and sort of Doom on Hydra was a big showcase for the ecosystem. And so with something like Quantum Hosky, it looks like, again, it's going to be showing off that partner chain framework. And then as he's mentioned, being able to mine Quantum Hosky or whatever token, is used within Quantum Hosky using your actual attention, meaning that there won't be any bots riddling, the Quantum Hosky metaverse, right? I know bots are a big thing within X. And it looks like this could be one of the ways that we're able to combat that is through something like focused attention. Now, he's also talked about just bringing, many ecosystems together when it comes to meme coins. Again, I'm starting to realize myself that meme coins are not going away, and that right now they really do have by far some of the strongest communities. Again, look at Hosky, look at SNEC, look at Toshi on Base, look at Pepe on ETH, Doge. They all have huge communities. And that really just tells me that it's not always about the tech, but if you can take advantage of those communities and integrate them, or at least bring them together using tech, there definitely is something to benefit from that. And so again, I'll be sort of diving into that. It is a pretty complex topic, but I at least want to go ahead and just break some of that news. And of course, shout out to the Minturn team for that bit of content. Now, moving over, while we're on the topic of Quantum Hosky and the partner chain framework, I just want to play this ad here. I'm going to turn the sound off, but if you haven't seen it, I'll leave the link to it down below. But it's a very, very highly produced ad, but it's breaking down the Midnight Network. So this is definitely a step up from sort of the quality or the content that we've seen within the crypto space. And this is exactly what I love to see. Again, an ad that reaches the broader space outside of crypto and explaining to them why it's important for data privacy to be had and exactly what Midnight actually is. So again, Midnight has been building here. Right now, they're on the testnet. I don't believe that they've actually onboarded any validators just yet. But if you have any additional information about that, leave a comment down below. But what I do want to quickly mention are 3 projects from the Cardano ecosystem that are now onboarded or that will now be working right with the Midnight team in order to integrate into their ecosystem. So the first is Endmaker, right? If you guys aren't aware, they mint the majority of NFTs here, and they'll be doing the same exact thing when it comes to the Midnight ecosystem. Again, they'll be integrating their robust NFT infrastructure directly into Midnight's protection tools. In addition, this particular team is also now expanded or has also expanded into Solana. And when I say they, I'm referring to Endmaker. And then, of course, we've got Sunday Labs, who launched the Sunday Swap DEX, one of the first AMMs or the first AMM DEX protocol here back in January of 2022, will now also be joining and launching their protocol there in the Midnight ecosystem. And then moving over, we've got the Fluid Tokens team, who will be bringing their NFT-backed lending and borrowing protocol straight to the Midnight ecosystem. So very positive and bullish news there for that. Hopefully we're able to get more content about when we're actually be able to see Midnight launching on the mainnet. Now, before we jump into the next piece here, if you're enjoying today's content, please make sure to smash that thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. Gathering all this information, putting it out together, editing it takes a while, and that's one of the easiest ways to support me as a content creator. If you enjoy the content and you want more, consider subscribing to the channel. And last but not least, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and leave those down below. Let's jump into the next piece here, which is surrounding the Cardano Foundation, which I released a video not too long ago about sort of the infighting here. It's not obviously like what I love to do, right? Releasing negative content about Cardano, but it is content and it is as informational as it can be, right? Now, we haven't heard anything officially from the CF. However, they have gone ahead and published some documentation, right? And some on-chain transactions about what they've actually been doing in partnership with a platform called Reef. So it states here, we're now publishing our audited financial statements on-chain with Reef, setting a new standard for transparency. Now, jumping over to the actual article here, they break down the fact that, Reef is basically an application or platform designed to enhance global accounting systems and financial reporting. And it states here that this is basically a sample of the underlying accounting transaction information, which again has now been published on chain. So it basically breaks down what Reeves does, which they provide streamlined audits. They help to strengthen accountability, increase trust, and improve efficiency. And then in terms of what's actually been released already, the Cardano Foundation has released their balance sheet, their income statement, and their rent expenses and staking rewards revenue. So this is all in addition to their financial report that they released not too long ago. But this is really bullish here. This is what we want to see from the Cardano Foundation. Now, that's not all. They've also made sure to mention the fact that they are now committed to governance and that the Cardano Foundation will be participating as a D-Rep or delegated representative. This means that they'll be voting in upcoming elections. They'll be voting in upcoming proposals and just basically any governance motion, right, that comes in, they'll be participating and making sure to vote. So they've left their D-Rep ID down there, but let me know what you guys think. Should the Cardano Foundation be a D-Rep? I know that Charles Hoskinson has mentioned that IOG will not be a D-Rep. I'm not sure that we've heard exactly what Emergo's stance is on this just yet, but we definitely do know that the foundation will be participating, and anybody who delegates ADA to them, right, will basically be delegating their ADA power for them to vote on their behalf. Now, we've got one last report here coming in from the Cardano Foundation, which is the 2024 State of Cardano Developer Ecosystem results, or a survey, and they've just published the results. So I'll leave the link to this down below as well, but this basically breaks down, how experienced people are when it comes to developing here on Cardano, how experienced they are when it just comes to functional programming. And again, just a lot of developer related questions. So if you have any sort of wonders about where people come from, how long they've been in Cardano, what it is that exactly that they do, this particular survey breaks that down. So again, I'm going to leave the link to this down below, but as you guys can see, 35 questions, which all came out to developers here contributing to the ecosystem. That'll do it there for updates surrounding the CF. Next, I want to briefly touch on World Mobile and the fact that their highly anticipated Connecting the Disconnected documentary is now officially out. Every single Saturday or every other Saturday, I do a stream breaking down World Mobile updates with Cal, aka Clover Notes, as well as Rob from Trek Stake Pool. And recently, right, we were able to get Emmanuel Gratch on to basically highlight his efforts where he was on the ground in North Carolina with Oceanic Goon, excuse me, and Enzo Node, who've also contributed to some of the efforts there, trying to help people get back on their feet. So if you guys have not already checked this out, please make sure to go ahead and do so. It's very, very thorough, highly produced. And the team actually sat down with, I want to say it was Charles Hoskinson, Mario Nawfal, and a few other big names here within the crypto space. And this has gotten, thousands of views all throughout the world. A lot of it coming in on X, a lot of that also coming in here through YouTube. So again, this shows their efforts there on the ground, documenting them, running around, getting people connected, getting people to, be able to finally get back in touch in their or with their families during such a pivotal time where obviously, a lot of people unfortunately passed. A lot of people lost homes, they lost property. This is Sherry actually here, who was able to get $10,000 fundraised through GoFundMe immediately after she basically mentioned that, hey, I'm having financial trouble. So the World Mobile community stepping up here, Mickey and the gang, showing what it is that they're able to do. And this was all done with some key members from SpaceX as well, where they were able to contribute and deploy Starlink services out there to help, again, connect the unconnected or the disconnected. So I want to take a brief opportunity to go ahead and plug that in there. Next, we've got some news coming in here surrounding the Wyoming Stablecoin. So unfortunately, Cardano not even in the running when it comes to considerations for candidate blockchains. Crazy enough, we've got the mention of Solana at number 1 with a score of 32, followed by Avalanche with a score of 27, and then Sui with a score of 26. Mr. Ginsler, if you're watching, I think I pronounced it correctly this time. It's Sui, not Sui. I appreciate the correction there. Now, we also got Ethereum coming in there with a score of 26, followed by Polygon, Arbitrum, Base, Optimism, and Stellar. Of course, again, no mention of Cardano. Now, we've got Phil here, a big voice within the developer ecosystem, mentioning the fact that Polygon isn't even a layer 2 because it doesn't inherit the security from Ethereum. Neither does Base inherit any of the security from Ethereum. And then there's also a criteria here about the stability of particular blockchains. And so looking there with Solana at number 1, if we take a look there, some of the criteria mentions that the network, right, has frequent downtime or instability, causing major disruptions in network and functionality. So it's like, if they're not looking for a blockchain that's going down, why is Solana the first ever choice? Again, it doesn't make sense, but a really, really great comment that came in here based off of Phil's initial comment. This is coming in here from Shaggy. Now, Shaggy's a longtime watcher and contributor here. Shaggy, I do appreciate your support. Mentioning that we, as a blockchain in Cardano, right, we didn't meet some of their criteria, but this is really interesting. So some of their criteria include the fact that they need the ability to have clawbacks, they need the ability for KYC, and they also need the ability to blacklist. Now, all 3 of those things go against literally what everybody in Cardano believes, right? We've talked about having USDC onboarded here, where clawbacks was a particular thing, and obviously people didn't want that. KYC, people are never excited about having to do that. And then blacklisting, right? We don't ever want to have the ability to do that, because again, what that means is that we can have people who decide who gets to win and who doesn't get to win, right? Who gets to hold assets that are legit and who gets to hold assets that are basically blacklisted or no longer of any value to anybody else within that ecosystem. So the fact that Cardano isn't on this list may actually be a blessing in disguise, right? As crazy as that sounds. So I just want to quickly highlight that there. As we get ready to wind the plane down here, I want to quickly just briefly highlight some ecosystem bits of content where we have funding round number 13 for Project Catalyst officially closed. So if you didn't get the opportunity to vote, unfortunate. However, we should hopefully be getting the results very soon. We also have the team from Fluid Tokens, right, who's again been onboarded into Midnight, who's now also working with the Arch network in order to release what they call a single-click permissionless loan system built on Bitcoin. Now, this team has done an amazing job. Again, they've already built out a DEX on Bitcoin. They've obviously built out lending and borrowing here on Cardano, and looks like they're now taking it a step further with the single click platform there in order to go ahead and either loan or borrow. In addition, we have iSolana or iSol, which has now been approved from the Indigo protocol. This is a little bit of an older update here, but I want to quickly highlight it. So if you're not familiar, Indigo is a synthetics protocol here in the ecosystem. They've released iBTC, iUSD, and iETH, and this is now their fourth ever iAsset, which is iSol, a representation of Solana or the Solana price action as a synthetic asset in the Cardano ecosystem. So you don't have to leave Cardano in order to now get exposure to Solana. Now looking here, as we get ready to close out here, the HRA, right, or some of the revenue that you're able to get right now currently stands at 64.4%. And we can see that there's 1,700 iSol currently staked on the Indigo platform, representing 334,000 ADA, or roughly about $350,000 US. So congrats to that particular team. They've definitely teased out a sister project or sister protocol, which should potentially allow for any iAsset to be created with a permissionless fashion. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about that from that particular team. That will do it here for today's brief update. Again, thank you all for tuning in here, touching on Bitcoin, Michael Saylor, Quantum Hosky, Midnight, the Cardano Foundation releasing 3 reports, World Mobile, the Wyoming Stablecoin, including as well some Cardano ecosystem updates. If you appreciate content like this, please make sure to smash that thumbs up on the way out. If it's your first time stopping by and you want more, consider subscribing. And last but not least, again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave a comment down below. That said, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.